like maybe 10 years ago, it was rumored that Joe Rogan was going to fight Wesley Snipes in the UFC, and they were negotiating it. Rogan confirmed this on his podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
They were actually negotiating this fight with Wesley Snipes, and they were going to do Rogan versus Wesley Snipes in the UFC. And yeah, a lot of people would pay for that today. Today, I think that would sell millions of pay-per-views.
Yep. I swear to God, I would love to see Joe Rogan take on Wesley Snipes.
I would watch it right now. I would
love to watch it.
I pay $100.
Rogan would smash Wesley Snipes, okay? he's got decent striking. He's very, very good at jiu-jitsu. And by all accounts, I'm a huge fan of Wesley Snipes, but apparently he's a dick of the highest proportion. Okay?
Really?
Yeah. I heard some stories. If he's not, I apologize. In fact, I'll tell you a quick story. I met Wesley Snipes once when I first won the Ultimate Fighter. So I was still, just a naive kid from Clitheroe, Lancashire in England, dealing with celebrities, far from it. But I knew who Wesley Snipes was. I watched New Jack City bloody every day of the summer holidays when I was a kid. I loved that movie. Great movie. And I'm there. I've won the Ultimate Fighter. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm at a fight. And I get a tap on the shoulder. And I turn around, and it's Wesley Snipes. And he says, "How's it going, champ?" And I just acted like such a little fanboy. I was like, you know who I am? You know who I am? He's like, yeah, I watch you all the time. I'm like, oh my God, wow, Wesley Snipes. And he couldn't get away from me faster. You know what I mean? He was like, wow. Oh my God, I thought this guy was going to be cool. I was like, oh shit, can I get a picture? He's like, oh, no, I got to go. And he went off. And then afterwards, I was like, wow, I did not handle that situation cool at all, but I don't give a fuck. I was young. I was fresh off the boat, so to speak. I was new to the UFC, but yeah, there you go. There's me meeting Wesley Snipes. That's my story.
Wesley Snipes, he began training martial arts when he was 12 years old. He has a 5th-degree black belt in Shotokan Karate, 2nd-degree black belt in Hapkido. He's also trained in Capoeira under this guy and a number of other disciplines, including Kung Fu at the USA Shaolin Temple, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and kickboxing. During his time in New York, Snipes was trained in fighting by his friend and mentor, Brooke Ellis.
I would say the majority of that shit will not work in a real fight.
What is Hapkido? What does that mean? I thought it was
exactly. You ever see? I saw someone recently in the UFC. Actually, they did have it down on their bio that they did Hapkido. I'm not familiar with it, if I'm honest, and I'm not shitting all over traditional martial arts. They do have a place, but as we saw in UFC 1, a lot of traditional martial arts, when it comes down to it, in a real life situation against another guy that wants to take your head off, don't necessarily work. A lot of martial arts, if they don't have a cooperating partner, don't work. Now, the traditional martial arts have a fantastic place, though. They're very, very good for you. Meditation, fitness, flexibility, confidence, discipline, respect, all kinds of stuff. And, of course, exercise. But not all of it is applicable to a real-life combat situation. And that is just truth. That is the truth. And a lot of charlatans go around selling this, like 1-inch punches and this and that. You see like videos of old guys touching people and they fly through the air. That does not work. It's very impressive when you're 10 years old, because we used to have a guy that came up and did demonstrations where I trained, and this guy would come in and he'd like do attacks where 7 people grabbed hold of him and he would move his arms around. Bearing in mind, this guy was like 70 years old, and 6 or 7 guys would fly through the air, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. This guy is insane. But it's all bullshit. They've done those moves a million times, and the person that was getting thrown through the air was probably doing more work than the guy. You know what I'm saying? So, traditional martial arts, they are fantastic, especially for children. Very, very good. But yeah, I would definitely take Joe Rogan in that fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think also, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I think, has sort of been, I think if you're going to know, a technique, we sort of learned through the UFC, through the Gracies, that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the one, if you're going to be a master of, to kind of know, and I think all things considered, if we don't know, if you're just kind of betting the same way you'd bet on cards, as I'm sitting in Atlantic City right now, I would just always put the bet on the guy who has amazing jiu-jitsu, unless Wesley Snipes is like a currently active, crazy kickboxer, Muay Thai guy who's like a world champion. But for a guy who's a movie star, or 2 guys who maybe aren't, professional athletes on that level, the guy who is a master in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I'm always going to bet on, or even really the guy who has the better grappling always. Yeah,
for sure. But that said, an actual good old-fashioned Western boxer, that he's going to be He's going to be a problem. Sorry, I can't get my words out. He's going to be a problem to deal with as well, especially in close quarters. But if you can't grab him or you can't get him down to the floor, a boxer's going to give you a fucking nightmare. It's as simple as that. Those guys know how to punch and they're fast, put combinations together well. And if you can't, if you have Brazilian jiu-jitsu takedowns, you might be fucked, because that Brazilian jiu-jitsu wrestling is not the best, okay? Simple as that. And I'm not shitting all over Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Once it hits the floor, they're very, very good. But getting people to the floor, their takedowns are mainly trips. But I guess if you're not used to defending takedowns, they'd still work. But yeah.
Why, you would think that, like, why do you think that is? Because, like, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the whole story of it, and, correct me if I'm wrong, but, it was Royce Gracie's, grandfather, whichever one it was, he applied traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu techniques and kind of adapted them on the ground for, to almost adapt for the smaller guy to be able to do. So you didn't need as much strength. It was more about your technique. Am I right about that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, that's the whole idea of martial arts in general. Martial arts are all about technique over strength, and using, for example, jiu-jitsu means, I want to get this right now, otherwise I'm going to look terrible. I think jiu-jitsu means the gentle art, okay? And it's all about using other people's strength against them, so you're not, so you can always beat somebody bigger if you have the technique. And that is true. You see a very, very good jiu-jitsu guy he can be tiny against a good guy. They'll choke that guy out all day, but you get two guys evenly matched. As technique-wise, obviously things change. But I think the story goes is that a Japanese jiu-jitsu guy called Kimura went over to Rio de Janeiro, I think, and had a fight in the 50s, had a contest, and I think Kimura won that fight. But then he showed all his jiu-jitsu skills to the Gracie family. And if I'm butchering this, I apologize, because I'm probably somewhat incorrect. But I think the general bulk of the story is pretty much spot on. And then the Brazilians, the Gracie family, kind of tailored it more to the groundwork. So that's why when you see in the UFC jiu-jitsu guys like Damian Maia, all right, he's kind of different because Damian Maia has worked on his wrestling and he's good at getting people down. But typically, jiu-jitsu guys are good once it hits the ground. But if they're stuck on their feet, they're kind of screwed, because generally their striking's not that good. They always want to get the guy to the floor. But if they don't work on the wrestling, they're kind of screwed,
Yeah, well, I would almost feel like because they adapted it, and we've always kind of seen martial arts be sort of this evolution, like, why aren't there like these like crazy Brazilian guys who have unbelievable takedowns, unbelievable wrestling, but are also like these crazy high-end jiu-jitsu guys? Like, who's that guy? You really don't see it. Every time it's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, it seems like they have like unbelievable submissions, but it's never like this crazy powerful wrestler. And, I almost feel like if they'd sort of take more from wrestling, they'd probably be able to kind of sort of dominate again.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just think that these days mixed martial arts has evolved so much that everybody, obviously everyone's cross-training these days, but people know. They know the moves, so therefore it's harder to pull them off. Remember, back in the day, nobody knew what an armbar was or a triangle, let alone an omoplata. You know what I'm saying? So it was all new. But now these days, especially guys like me, when I'm training a lot of the time now, because I know I'm not going to go out there. Listen, I have submissions. I can submit people. But if I'm fighting somebody that is a good jiu-jitsu guy, I'll work a lot of defense. And most of my camp is training, getting back to my feet, stopping takedowns, and submission defense. So therefore, it makes it really, really hard for that guy to be successful with the submissions. And that's generally what you're seeing in mixed martial arts these days. A lot of people, they know what's coming, they know how to defend, and they know how to escape. So, it's just the evolution of mixed martial arts. That's why you see more striking these days. That's also why if you get two wrestlers or two jiu-jitsu guys against each other, it ends up a kickboxing match on the feet, because neither can take each other down, or if the jiu-jitsu guys, they can't do takedowns anyway. So it plays out on the feet. So, anyway, there you go.
I'm watching your fight versus Chael Sonnen right now.
It's nice to know that you paid attention.
That was a draw, correct?
No, it wasn't a draw. Chael got that fight by split decision, I think.